Hello everyone, I wanted to make this quick video just to kind of reflect with you about the use of qualitative research and how to approach our subjectivity, the issue of our subjectivity and our background as a possible influence for the research process. So we know that qualitative research will focus on getting a better understanding of our participants' experiences. It's about the experiences, perceptions of the participants, and we know that the researcher is a key participant. Even though you are acting as the researcher, you have a big influence on the research process because you are a person, we're human beings, and the background that we have and the experiences that we bring to the research study, to the field, will shape the questions we ask, just the fact that we are investigating a specific topic means that we are interested in that topic, that is important to us, and then colleagues and other researchers agree that doing qualitative research is somehow a way of doing autobiography, or kind of has a component of autobiography, because you're interested in the topic because it's something that means something to you. It's an issue that has some relevance, that you find important, that you are interested because you want to effect some change or maybe improve the participants' experiences or participants' lives. So there is definitely a subjective component that we bring to the research. Now, this is important to acknowledge, this is important to embrace, that we have the experience that we have, that we know what happens in the field, or what happens about this problem that we are trying to address. It's important that we acknowledge that that care, that relevance that the topic has in our lives, or that will justify why we are doing this. We normally justify research as something that is needed for the greater good, and then to help solve an educational problem, an educational issue, or community issue. But in fact, if we look back, do a kind of introspective reflection, it's not only about solving something that is important for the field of education, but it's also that is meaningful to us. So that means that is important to us. So first step, acknowledging that we have an interest on the topic, that we bring some baggage, that we have experience or have had some experience with the problem or the issue. Acknowledge that that's important to us. So we will have definitely some influence on that. We also have to acknowledge that who we are is the result of our experiences, is the result of those experiences. So even when we want to detach ourselves from influence in the process, we are built through those experiences, through that background. So those experiences will be with us when we are drafting the questions, when we are defining the problem, when we are identifying what questions, when we are writing the questions that we want to ask in the interview, during the interview, when we are identifying what issues we want to observe, what things we will be focusing on during the observation process. So we will definitely influence all the process. So that subjectivity could be used also in a positive way. In that sense, it will inform the research. Look, if we are not aware of our background or how we are connected or why this topic is important to us, we might unconsciously, influence negatively, and then introduce some bias in the process. But being aware of our background, being aware of our subjectivity, and also our positionality as maybe a female or maybe male or maybe based on our gender or religion or a socioeconomic level, social class. So if we acknowledge all those aspects, all those intersections that are part of our personality, are part of who we are, and make us who we are, we can use it to not only benefit the process, to engage with the participants, to build rapport with the participants, because at the end we will be working with participants that either look like us or have something that we are interested in. So we will be working with them and building rapport so we can interview them in a more, comfortable way, and facilitating the conversation during the interviews. So being aware of those, of our positionality and our subjectivity could be used for the benefit of the research process. Acknowledging that is important for the trustworthiness and the credibility of your study, because you are putting yourself out there, and then acknowledging that you have that, a positionality or subjectivity. At the same time, that will help you identify different ways in which you can minimize the effect of those characteristics that you bring with you. For example, if you know about the participants' experiences, possible experiences, it is important that you recognize that you have had some similar experience. However, you have to leave a space for the participants to tell their story. Is the study, you are doing the study because you want to know the participants' experiences. And even though you shouldn't assume, but even though you assume that you know the field, you shouldn't assume that you know everything about the participants' experiences. Sometimes something that is traumatic for you, or could be a moment of happiness, or a moment of that gave you feelings of success or satisfaction, could mean something completely different for another participant, for another person. So sometimes when you ask your questions through your interview and do your observation, you might find out that participants express different feelings about things that mean something different for you. So you have to leave a space for them to tell their story, and for you to be open to information that is not exactly what you were expecting. So many of the responses might sound similar to what you already know, but there might be information. There will be also always information that will be different from what you experienced, and you have to be open to that. One way to minimize that possible bias of assuming that you know everything in the field is asking, that's the nature of qualitative research, asking open-ended questions. So open-ended questions have to be questions that allow you to draw meaningful information, rich information. For example, avoid quantitative questions that ask how many, or do you experience such and such. If you say, did you experience, they might say yes or no, and stop it there, and you don't want that. That will be easily answered as a yes or no, which can be transformed quantitatively into 1 and 0, yes, 1, 0, no. So what we want to do in qualitative research is to ask questions like, can you tell me about your experience, or how does such experience look like in your, or can you describe a day in your, maybe in your teaching, depending on what you are investigating, depending on the focus of your study. So, but asking how how do you manage, or how can you describe such and such, or those kind of questions that are open enough for the participants to tell you this, a list of things, or describe a day, or describe their experience. So don't ask them, do you experience? Because they will say yes, no. So you have to ask questions. How was your experience in such and such situation? Or how would you describe? So they can tell you, give you more information, more, richer information. So that would be one way. And also that will, kind of keep outside your influence at assuming that they, if you say, did you enjoy such and such, you're assuming that they enjoyed. So instead of saying, did you enjoy or how was this, how frustrating was this experience, don't lead with a question, because if you say how frustrating or how positive, you're already leading them to what you want to hear, and then they will end the answer in that direction. So asking how was your experience is better, so they can tell you whether it was positive or negative, or something that you don't expect. It might end up being something completely different. So this is all to say how you can handle a little bit those issues of subjectivity, avoiding, even though you are related to them, and you can use that subjectivity, that connection that you have with them, that rapport that you have with them, can use it to just make the conversation easier or more relaxed, a way that you can limit the biases that can be, inserted in the research, would be making sure that you listen more than you talk, that you ask questions, open-ended questions, so the information will come from them and not from you. You are not leading in your conversation, so that way you detach yourself. You, according to the literature on phenomenology, one of the designs that you will be studying this semester, and you bracket yourself, you bracket your background, you bracket your subjectivity by asking open-ended questions and allowing the participants to tell the story, talk, and then if there is something that you don't understand or you want to know more, you can ask them to elaborate a little more, give you examples of that, how that experience looked like. So in that way, there will be more information coming from them and not from you. So the subjectivity can be used to improve the process, but not to influence the responses that the participants give you. Well, I don't want to make it too longer than this, but I just wanted to address this. So I think this is a great step, by writing your subjectivity and positionality, being aware of that. But also the next step that I want you to take is thinking of how you would control or limit that subjectivity from influencing in a negative way the research process.